school district, school board into what? Session. So I said that already, but we're gonna start it. All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Ayala.
Present.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Here.
Mrs. Hines.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mrs. Leyva.
Present.
All right, item B, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jill, item C, do we have anybody signed up for our audience portion?
We do not.
All right, moving on, item D, approval of the agenda. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala.
Aye.
Mrs. Hines.
Aye.
Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Mrs. Leyva.
Aye.
All right, moving on, unfinished business. Item A. Approve a stipend for the interim committee. I make a motion to, approval of the interim committee stipend.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the stipend for the interim committee. Questions or comments? Dee, would you like to shed a little light on things?
Yeah, I can. I don't know if you forwarded the email from Kristen that had like my formula for how I came up with the amount or not, but I can.
No,
I did.
I didn't.
Okay, but did everybody else get it then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I sent it to everybody.
Okay, so what I did was, it started off with a conversation with Heather because we were going to do it the 3 ways. And she said she didn't want to be included in that because her duties didn't change as much, or she didn't have to carry as much stress and anxiety as Mr. Wilson and Mr. Romero. So we combined their contract salary and then figured out their per diem, and then I made sure that I got that from Dawn because our amount that Heather and I came up with was different. And then we decided to just round it to make it easier and then go off of the average. And then again, so then that's 70 days from the time that they started. I know they weren't appointed interim, but I think that under the circumstances and the things that they've had to do, it's fair to go back from the day that we kind of dropped a bombshell and said, hey, by the way, following that, it's $200 a day for the 70 days. I don't have the email open. I think it was 70 days. And that takes us from when they were told that they needed to keep things running until the end of this fiscal year. And the reason why that we had to do it before, like we couldn't do it next month's meeting, is because we have to close the books out for this year. And according to Kim from, is it Abacus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can take it out of next year's budget, but it could create more confusion, whatever, for our audit. And I didn't think that we needed more drama with audit. So that's why we were like trying to put this on the agenda for so that it gets done before the end of this fiscal year, and so that it's done in time for Dawn to submit it for payment. And I apologize, I didn't have the stuff ready yesterday for the meeting. I had stuff come up, and I didn't hear back in time from Kristen so that we could have the right paperwork to add it. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me and understanding on that.
Any questions with how Dee arrived there or any of the documentation in front of you? All right. Roll call, please.
Mrs. A.
I got a question, sorry. No.
Just kidding. Greg's got a
Oh,
question.
sorry. Are there, for whenever staff people take on extra duties, they get paid, right?
Yes,
Are there any examples of any staff people doing extra that they don't get paid for?
like that, you could argue that. I don't have any specific where I have an individual that I feel like they're reaching out of their zone to do an extra piece. I mean, you can also look at it to where I feel like every teacher does more than they should have to,
Right.
but as far as like an individual that's doing anything extra right now, I don't see any. One that I know we had kind of talked back and forth with some of the financial piece with Heather being gone, some of that, help that Shay has been doing, but being able to look at that piece, we just hadn't got to yet.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that for my mindset. Okay. Well,
I did have a question too. So the next 30 days too, you'll also still be receiving this pay, right? Is that a part of this?
Yeah,
I think it's as long as we're.
So this contract says in accordance with applicable law and for policy, this board can terminate this at will assignment at any time with or without cause and without prior notice. So it says this document is not an employment contract. It does not promise or imply employment for any definite term.
So yeah, so it'll go on. And even if we don't find the right bid, it would still continue to go on. So, okay,
If they choose to.
they choose to. Yeah, I know, this is a lot. Sorry, guys. But yeah, just wanted to clarify that. So
And I gotta tell you guys, thanks for putting the faith in Jared and I to do this stuff. It's been a good partnership and so far we're trying to make things happen the best we can. And so thanks for putting faith in us to do
And just for perspective's sake, Greg, I know you asked if anybody picks up any extra duties. This to me is a little more than asking them to just extend their reach in their current role. We asked them to do a lot that they didn't have any knowledge of, that they had to go and get real acquainted with it real quick. So I mean, they kind of touched the surface of it, but we really just kind of threw them in. So this would be, to me, in my opinion, this exceeds, hey, this is an extra duty. This is a whole job from somebody else, like a whole position that we said, okay, figure it out, you two, good luck. Let us know how that goes. So a little more than like a special assignment or.
no, I agree.
Cool. Do we have any other questions or?
I just wanted to add, Angela, I agree with what you said, but and then also because this is a district level, they influence recommendations that affect the whole district, and it's not like longer recess or I'm not saying that that's what Greg's implying. I'm just saying like just in general for people to understand where we're coming from. Like it was more than just, can you keep the ship afloat till we figure out what we're doing and get the search started? Like they had other stuff that they had to field that they were just kind of totally jumped in or pushed into the deep end. So I appreciate that.
and just a second, what Richie said, I just want to say thank you, I appreciate it. Just like I hope that all the people that would work with me and below me, that when something happens and the fire gets hot, you're asking people to respond and do it. And then in good graces, you take care of the people. And I feel like I try to do that as a leader, and I appreciate that being shared as well by the district. So I appreciate that.
Any other questions? We have room for this, I assume. Do you check?
Yeah.
Anything further? Sarah, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. for the second time. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mrs. Leyba.
Aye.
All right. Item B. Approve the purchase of 200 Chromebooks.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, so this looks like it was an oversight, not sending it in to the applicants for next year's budget, so far from punctifying next year's budget since we approved it. We just verified to make sure it did or didn't go in, but it didn't, but we also have room in the surplus for this year to cover these costs. And since these are our normal rotation deal, I recommend that we go ahead and approve the Chromebooks for this year using this year's budget.
I'm sorry, I closed my agenda, or I'd make the motion. Move to approve the Chromebook purchase.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of Chromebook computers in the amount of $85,780. Questions or comments?
I have a question, and it may not be the right time to discuss it, but I at least want to just throw that out there. I don't recall if we have, I mean, I know we have an agreement when we have families that sign out their Chromebooks, but I wanted to know if we have updated or looked more in depth of like what our I don't know what the right word would be, policy practice for if there are damages or it's lost or anything like that, or do we have a deposit? I'm just curious. So it doesn't have to be
Like almost
answered now, but I mean, just that's something I was thinking about.
like the user agreement, is that kind of what you're talking about? What happens, whether we look at, do they have to buy supplemental insurance, things along those lines?
Well, I know that we have those things in place. My question is like, if we have students that are, I don't know, playing Frisbee with their Chromebook in the cafeteria, what are the repercussions for that? Or is that just something?
I could probably answer a little bit, Dee, if you don't mind me stepping in.
Sure, go ahead.
So if we have an instance at like the high school where like a student did break it, like being like not by accidental, like by being like misuse of the device. We take in their statement and like Goheen would usually like step in, we take the student statement of how it happened. And then when we get it and we do like a little investigation, they're like, yes, this wasn't truly accidental or anything, then we do need to charge the student. We go through the process. It's usually around $350 per Chromebook. We put it in and then we reach out to the parent, let them know like, hey, this is what happened at school. They owe us this. And for any punishment from like the school side, we work with Goheen pretty closely with that and say, what do you think about it? Should we suspend the student? Like, or like, is it not that high? And then we just do like a punishment, but we let the punishment aside with the principals and what they decide. And I know last year, I think we have suspended 3-4 students due to like property damage because of the Chromebook and stuff. So I know we have done that as well.
Okay.
So we don't have a policy, like when we do registration?
Yeah, so like at registration, when the parent comes in, we went digital last year, was the first year. They come in, the parent and the student both have to sign saying that they read it. Pretty much it does say if it is damaged, it's up to the parent. For the student's fault, they do have to pay it back. And everything else. So like it does, we do have that at registration saying that like whatever they do, it is like there's a chance that they have to pay for the damage.
Where it starts to get funky, like some of the battles that I've seen is when you have a family or anything that lower income, whether they're free or reduced on any of that piece, and you hit them with that tech fee, even though it's broken, it's hard to pull that device from that student because they still need access to that learning. And so it really is kind of this whole shift that the school has to look at is when there's a broken device, how does that look in math, English, science, and then after school activities as far as capability and access to the education piece? To where it's not like we can just take the device and say, well, you're out of luck until you pay us, because we still have to provide those educational opportunities. We're trying to work on a system that all works together, not just policy, because even when I've seen like super tight knit policies, you run into a situation like that, and you'll have a kid that's broken 4 computers through the duration of the school, and you don't see $1 come back from that. And so it's kind of different to
But it
navigate.
does seem like we do run into that, where like we suggest that they shouldn't have one at all, but the principals or the teachers start complaining, saying, well, all our curricular stuff is online, they need a machine, they can't do their work, so then the principals gets with us, they're like, no, just give them one, and we're like, okay, like, I get it, like, they have to learn, we don't wanna hold back their education. Or another weird solution that we have done is, instead of the student taking it home with their one assigned, now we technically have to assign like 4 to 5 Chromebooks to them, because then we have to put one in each of their classrooms. So they check it at as they come in, they get with the teacher, they hand it back and then turn it in at the end of the class. And then as they move on through their day, there should be a Chromebook for them in each of their rooms, which it does work as well. It just really sucks because now one student now has 5 Chromebooks for him, just to like try to like deal with that piece as well.
But I think to kind of add on to what Dakota's saying, I think there is some room, like you said, Dee, to kind of explore this, see if there's anything we can change, anything we can update, anything we can be a little bit more creative on to try to help with that piece. So I do think that we're kind of losing out a little bit financially on that side, is having a system that, that really supports taking care of these devices, and, and being able to have it gray enough that when a kid accidentally falls or something in the hallway, that we're not just hammering parents with fees and things that are crazy. So just kind of having those conversations, but again, you get into a car accident, even though it's an accident, there's still that financial piece to it. We just kind of find that balance, I think.
Okay, so then for reference, everybody else, it's policy JS, student use of technology. And then I know there's the user agreement in there, but my browser is not being friendly, so I can't look up what the other one is. But I just wanted to
JB,
let you know that we do have a policy. What was it, Jill?
JBE, it's a student staff policy, so it's JS and JBE.
Okay. So I was just curious if we had made any changes that weren't reflected in the policy, because our procedures and practices should match or align with our policy. So that's where I was getting at.
I knew I looked at it not so long ago and they seemed pretty matched with each other with like the logo or like policies. So unless you think that we need to change or update it, we can. But last time I saw,
I don't think there's a money amount in the policy, is there?
I don't think there is a money amount, and I think that could be good, because just depending on what they break, depends on how much they owe us. But I don't think there is a money amount in the policy.
Okay, I was just curious. Like I said, this probably wasn't the right time for the conversation, but I'm glad that you were able to answer. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or concerns, comments regarding the Chromebook purchase? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Coleman,
Aye.
Mrs. Laban,
Aye.
All right, moving on to item C, approve the purchase of staff laptop computers.
I'll amend my last comments on that one, and these are just normal rotation of cycling computers out for staff.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the purchase of staff laptop computers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of 30 staff laptop computers in the amount of $38,670. Questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Ayala,
And this guy's base.
Aye.
And this guy?
S. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Colomans,
Aye.
Mrs. Laba.
Aye.
All right, moving on. Item 3. Approve the ESEA General Assurances Form. Jared?
Yes, this is a form that is just tied to, our title and our consolidated application. With that consolidated application, as I said, not all the title, sections will be released. Right now, we're working on just section 1 of Title 1, which covers all of the salary pieces. This is just an insurance piece that the district is noticing or being noted on notice that they are going to spend the money, following all over state laws, and that they won't keep a student from getting funding, due to whatever various reasons. So just the insurance pieces that we're gonna follow the rules set forth of title spending, and use the funding appropriately.
Okay.
Move to approve the ESEA General Assurances Form as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the ESEA General Assurances Form as presented. Questions or comments?
Jill, do you know if this is one that comes to me from CDE with the
It-
digital?
I don't know if it goes to you digital, D. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think it used to, but sometimes CDE stuff goes to my spam, so I wasn't sure, and I didn't look.
I don't
So
know if it did, and I don't know if it was just because of the timing of how they released the funds or not this year or what had happened. And so what I did was I double checked with CDE yesterday, met with them with our grant again, that Christina Attaboy, met with her again and just said, what's our best route? Is just because we needed to have it done again by June 30, so that we could, anyone that's part of this for their salary for their July paycheck had to be cleared off. And so she didn't say whether to go digitally or not. She just said, yes, it needs to be brought forth before July so that we can make sure that everyone gets paid.
okay, and I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought Jill would know this. She's
Well,
She has access to my inbox and can tell me what. Sorry.
But yes, I again, and so that was kind of a wonky deal that I'm glad you brought up, so I wanted to make sure I had it is sent to be for the board president. When I checked with them, I just said, hey, she may be out of the area, what do we need to do? And they just said, just to sign it as normal and just put your position, and they said they would accept it, no big deal.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. S. Ayala,
Aye.
Mrs. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Colomans,
Aye.
Mrs. Laba.
Aye.
All right, moving on. Item 4, board comments.
I just again want to say thank you very much for you guys being patient and understanding. I know this year has been a lot of, I have to be out of town and something's come up and whatever, just life happening. But I just want to say again that I really appreciate you all having patience and being supportive. And then supporting my idea of like of how to come up with a fair amount for the gentleman there.
Anybody else? All right, 4:26, we'll adjourn. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.